Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So this is deck report week number 7 of season 4, and this is the first deck profile with Supreme Darkness being legal in the TCG. So I bring you guys today another iteration of Maliss. I did wanted to show a different deck, however this is what I've been testing with, especially with YCS Orlando right around the corner. I know that some people who tune in into this channel are just looking for ideas for Maliss into the new format, and I kind of want to make sure that everybody who is playing this deck that is tuning into this channel knows what I'm doing, and maybe catch some ideas that could help you in your next event. So I went to 2 events this week. I just went to locals on Thursday in Titan Games, and I went to a case tournament of Supreme Darkness in Sunday at WeBox Games. My record on Thursday was 3-1. I lost 1 game to Ryziel. And my record in the Supreme Darkness Case Tourney was 6-0. I ended on undefeated, and here's proof. Here's my pricing. We pretty much split the pricing between top 8, and we didn't play top cut, but I did end up 6-0 in Swiss, which put me on first place with 18 points. So I'm pretty sure you guys are here mainly for the list, so I'll go through it. I'll show you the list first, and then I'll talk the theory behind it, because I know there's going to be a lot of explanation here. Alright, so let's begin. Triple Dormouse, Triple Rabbit, Triple Cat, five Bestials. We're still on dangers, so 3 Nessie, 3 Mothman, 2 Jax, 2 Tsuchinoko, Bigfoot, and Chupacabra. Dark Grepper, I will explain this. And the last monster in the main deck is Dimension Shifter. Triple Underground, double Allure of Darkness, Talent, Sark, Enemy Controller, and Call by the Grave. (11, 06, 07), and the last 3 cards in the main deck was 3 Dominus Impulse. Extra deck: Link Decoder, Linguribo, Splash Mage, Dark, Phoenix, Cerberus, Lizardos, SP. That's a lot of Link 1s and Link 2s. The 3 Maliss Queens. Access code Griffin, Firewall, and Abawaku. Side deck: Triple Ash Blossom, Triple Phantasme, Triple Dark Ruler, Duster, Double Lightning Storm, Double Talents, and Thrust. Alright. Time for explanations. So, we're back on the danger build of Maliss. I just wanted to keep testing it out with it more. I really think it was beyond the experimental phase at this point. For those who did not tune in to my last deck report, I did give a thorough explanation on why the dangers are in this deck. I do encourage you to check it out. But the TLDR behind the dangers are they're really good extenders that create more bodies for your Maliss names, but at the same time, they cover 3 checkboxes. Those 3 checkboxes are Lancia, Impulse, and Shifter. Like, if any engine that you play in the game can play into or with those 3 cards, you should be playing that engine. That's why I'm not playing Fiendsmith. That's why I'm not playing Sky Striker. That's why you don't see me like playing like other Cyber's extenders. Like, they don't check all the boxes, but the Dangers do. And I'm going to say this overperformed. Like, I managed to plow through boards with this. It's really good because you can combo off with Abawaku and with Nightmare Griffin. I unbricked 3 times because of this engine, and I played through Lancia 5 times because of this engine. So it's very safe to say this worked out. I still wanted to keep Bestials because I was really afraid of the Mitsurugi deck. That's the same explanation behind Shifter and Impulse in the main. I just wanted to make sure I did not get high rolled by that deck. I did make my pure Ryziel matchup a lot weaker because of it. However, there are other ways to mitigate that. That's why you see enemy controller and talents in the main deck. One tech card that I've been seeing in a couple of Maliss lists so far is Metaltronus. Metaltronus is a really good one. It also checks all the boxes. Like, it plays around the Impulse, it plays around Shifter, and it plays around Lancia. My issue with Metaltronus is that it needs specific cards either in your main or your extra deck. And it's not to say that I cannot afford to do that right now, but I felt like the way the deck has been built at the moment, I just felt it was unnecessary. In the future, I might experiment with it a little bit more. I will say for sure, these 2 other cards did not disappoint. I've been seeing a lot of people cut talents from the main, or at least cutting talents altogether. I think that's a huge mistake. I think in a format like the one that we currently have, you need to be playing talents to at least some numbers. One card I will say did not work out for me, and it's probably because of the structure of the deck, was Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave did almost nothing for me, like, this entire tournament. I think I negated like 1 Ash Blossom with this, and it wasn't like a super crucial card. I think against the Maliss mirror match, I did banish 1 name because of it, but that's about it. Like, in the future, this card will probably be cut from my main deck. Okay, let's talk about Dark Refer. So, while I was building the Danger deck, figure out the Danger hybrids, I was looking into past decks that have been influential in whatever format they were in with the Danger cards in it. The last one I saw was Tear Elements. Before that, it was Orchest. And besides those 2, I think the next big one is Dark World, but that one's like a no-brainer. And all the non-Dark World builds were playing Dark Refer. And I kind of just wanted to experiment with it. In theory, Dark Refer sounded like a really good card. For starters, you play a lot of high-level Dark monsters, like between your Dangers, your Bestials, your Shifters. You have enough ways to special summon the Greffer as an extender. If you open Greffer plus Danger Nessie, it's full Maliss combo without your normal summon. So that is another thing to keep in mind. If you open Dark Greffer with Dimension Shifter, it's also full Maliss combo. If you open Dark Greffer with a discard and a Bestial, it's also full Maliss combo. So that was the theory behind it. In practicality, and I'm going to give you good news and bad news. The good news is I did draw Dark Greffer enough times to where it was influential in my testing. The bad news is the Dark Greffer didn't work out as well as I thought it would. So in the future, this card will also be cut from the main deck. You could have played without these two cards and it would have been perfectly fine. So let's talk about the dangers real quick, because I decided to play 12. I think a high danger count in this deck is not unrealistic. I think 12 was a good sweet number for me. I saw them enough times. I saw them at multiples. These cards are not once per turn. Again, they work under Shifter, they work under Lancia, they work under Dimensional Dominus Impulse. So these cards were all great. That being said, there was only one danger that I was thinking it was very lopsided, and that one was Chupacabra. So the thing about Chupacabra is the number one reason I played this card is because it is a Fiend type monster, so you can make a Bawaku with it. That only came up once. The one time it did came up, it did win me the game. But besides that, Chupacabra was the most awkward draw, or my most awkward opening hand that I had, like in most of my games. I opened Chupacabra like 5 times, and out of those 5 times, only 3 of them, I think it was alongside 2 other dangers. There was one game where I did resolve the Chupacabra, and it drew me into a Mothman, and then the Mothman got sniped, and then Mothman drew me into a Jackalope. But that's about it. So I'm still debating whether or not Chupacabra will be cut, but for now, I would say you can do without it. I think that's it for explanations involving like the non-Maliss cards. I do want to talk about Maliss, like the engine itself, for a moment. Let me move these around. So one thing you probably noticed with this deck is I'm not playing Dotscaper, and the caveat for not running Dotscaper is that we maxed out on Cat. So if we go back to the 3 criteria that I mentioned, the 3 checkboxes, Dotscaper does not fulfill all of them. Dotscaper does work under our Artifact Lancia, which is a really good deal. Dotscaper does synergize with the Dangers, which is another really good thing. It is a Cybers monster, so you can make Link once with it to bridge into SP, so that's another good thing about it. But there is one thing that Dotscaper has that I did not like. And the thing that I did not like about it is that... Let's see if I can find it. It conflicted with Dominus Impulse. Dotscaper is already an awkward draw in your deck. You mainly don't want to draw Dotscaper, you want to banish it for Red Ramson. So, in a world where you resolve Dominus Impulse, Dotscaper just becomes a way worse card. It just becomes a straight up brick. And I didn't want to deal with that. I wanted the deck to be as consistent as it could be. Maliss is not known for being the most consistent deck ever, which is one of the other reasons I'm playing the Dangers in my deck. So just cutting out another really good extender in exchange for other ones that synergize better with your deck was an influential reason why the card is not in here. It's not safe to say whether or not it's going to go back to the main deck, but for now, at this current moment with this build, I am not going to return to Dotscaper. So, let's talk about the extra real quick. So, fun fact, I only summoned a Bawaku this past week 2 times. In the Case Tourney, I only summoned it once, and in the Thursday Tourney, I only summoned it once. Both times I summoned it, I did win the game. However, for those thinking that this card is influential in Maliss and you need to play this, you really don't. I never got to summon this card as many times as I wanted to. It is really strong if it's summoned and it resolves. But yeah, that's about it. The other past week before it, I did do this line a lot, which is the Griffin SP Abao line. This line is very strong. Like, it plays around a lot of disruptions. It makes your opponent's like engine a lot weaker. Like, one example that I had was against Ryziel. My opponent summoned the X Ryziel, and they tried to target the Griffin with the aggregator. I just changed SP, banished the Griffin, banished their X Ryziel, and then they normal summon the ice, and the ice got negated by Dominus Impulse. So, shout out to Angel. I am going to like thank all my opponents. Like Angel specifically, I almost misplayed with IP Griffin, and he gave me the chance to like return my play, and that was very influential in that match. So I have to give credit where credit is due. I also have to give credit to like Adrian Rivera, because there was a lot of influential plays that I did that mattered, and he was really good in testing for that, because for example, I got Meowed plus Peruliad, and playing this deck, I noticed that was the best Moltrami combination that can play through my cards. I was forced to give him like 3 to 4 draws if I wanted to make a decent end board. Fualos was not really that problematic for me. Like, I got Fualos a lot, and Fualos doesn't hurt you that much because all the dangers summon from your hand, and you just need to summon like once or twice from the extra deck in order to just make a decent board against your opponent, especially if you end up drawing into your trap cards, like drawing into your impulse, drawing like into other stuff. Also, if you're under Dimension Shifter, there's no real way your opponent can decay you as well. So that's it for that. Well, TLDR, Abao Aku is not like as necessary. So, Firewall Dragon. I want to talk about this card because I have seen people cut this card from their lists. Do not do that. This card does conflict with Dominus Impulse, which is a very important deal. However, something that you need to take notice with Firewall Dragon is a lot of the more roguish matchups do play monsters that trigger their effects if they're removed from the field. One good example is the Melodious Fusion Monster, Etoile. Another good example would be Samurai Destroyer if you're playing against Crystron. Just a few cards like that. Lancia if you're playing against Ice Barrier. I mean the Lancia Ice Barrier Dragon, not Artifact Lancia, just to be specific. So Firewall Dragon helps deal with those monsters, and that has come up for me enough times. So whether or not you're playing the Danger build, whether or not you're playing with Fiendsmith, whether or not you're playing other stuff, don't cut Firewall Dragon. This will come up for you a lot. So you've probably noticed that I play a lot of Link 2s. Like, I played a lot of them, including SP Little Knight. I do not regret every single choice here. Funnily enough, in the entire weekend, I only summoned Splash Mage once. I almost never summoned Splash Mage. So I only got Cybers locked like once or twice in this entire week. So in the future, you could play without it. One card I did miss was Link Spider. And it's not because of just Nibiru. Uh, because if you're smart with this deck, you should be able to learn how to play around Nibiru. However, one thing that has been happening to me a lot this past week is a combination between Nibiru and Dominus Impulse. Shoutouts to Abraham, shoutouts to Ramon, shoutouts to Noel, shoutouts to like a few other people that played Maliss. But yeah, like Impulse Nibiru as a combination of hand traps is really strong against Maliss. Like, not only do they mass remove your board, but whatever extenders that you have to play through them, it also like deals with them as well. Which is another reason why the dangers were as good as they were for me this past week. Like, just dangers themselves functioning as like extra pushing extenders through your opponent's hand traps was also influential. It helped make early SP Little Knight as well, which also helps dodge Nibiru. Yeah, that's pretty much it for those. These are staples. You're always gonna keep these. Another really cool thing, at least with the nightmares. Shoutouts to Gabriel Santiago if you're watching this. I know that he's not happy about that game, but we had a very, very good match involving me and my Melodious opponent. And the number one reason why I won that game was because I had 4 different monsters in my graveyard to banish with Access Code Talker. One of them being Hearts of Crypto. So I managed to mass remove my opponent's board after baiting all their interruptions with all my monsters. And again, the dangers are just really good because of that. Like, I know that people are very skeptical because this is a very heavy non-engine format. And if you're not playing a lot of non-engine in your deck, then you are in trouble. But some of these cards in your extra deck are just very powerful tools that you can use to like break your opponent's boards, and the dangers are influential because of that. So, with the side deck, I'm gonna talk about Dark Ruler no more real quick. So, this goes back to the Metaltronus discussion that I was having. You just want more ways to deal with Detonator. Like, Detonator, when you go second, is just very strong against your deck. Like, this card no longer works because of it. So you lose out on a consistency card. Like, your Malice bodies cannot do a lot if they're not sticking around on board. So that's another thing about it. With the dangers though, and I have to shout out all my Ryziel opponents again. Like, the Ryziel matchup was very experimental with me with the dangers, because it's hard to read whether or not your opponent is going to pop your dangers with Detonator. And not popping your dangers is really good for you, because it means that if you end up drawing like your other high roller cards like this or Metaltronus, for example, you can just shut down the Detonator and then play with the rest of your extenders. And that's a very, very big deal. If your opponent does decide to play into the dangers and they start popping them, you're just getting rid of XYZ materials for free. And you're also gonna punish them if you end up drawing talents. So that was basically like my prerogative with these. One downside of the dangers that I do have to add is that it makes Abyss Dweller a better end board against your deck. But Abyss Dweller is not that strong against the Malice engine itself and the Bestials. So you don't really have to worry about that. Another thing that came into the discussion, because people did bring this up to me, what happens if I get rolled? I really don't care if I get rolled, as long as I have access to a Maliss name. Like, if I get rolled on a danger and I end up with a Maliss name in hand, or I already opened a Maliss name, I can still full combo even through the draw. So, and the other thing to note is that the dangers can still trigger even if you're on the draw. That they just resolve as much as possible. So, for example, if you end up with Jackalope and Tsushinoko in your hand, you can just trigger them to discard them, and then they get their effects. I did have a lot of games where I ended up with just Tsushinoko or just Jackalope in hand, and I just discard them just because of an extra body. That happened a lot. So this is also really good. Yeah, overall, I think that's it for the discussion. Like, I don't have to explain Phantasme, I don't have to explain Ash Blossom. I hope you found this informative to your liking and understanding. Like, again, I won a case tourney with the deck, so I can tell you and attest for you for sure that this deck works. Good luck to everyone tuning in who are going to YCS Orlando. I will make more Maliss videos very soon. Keep practicing and keep dueling.